Hey everybody, welcome to Texas News Studio. I'm your host, Mark Myers. It's been a while since I've been doing live news coverage, so I thought I would come back and get things going again. It's good to be with y'all. Got a lot going on, obviously, with the news, but I want to get just a couple quick shout outs with everybody first, and then get caught up on the news. So everybody, welcome to YouTube and over on Twitch and over on Rumble. So good to see you all wherever you may be today. Again, let me get going on with some of these news developments that are going on with the Nancy Guthrie situation here. First off, there's been some new videos, of course. There's been a new video today, actually, begging for the mother's return. And we've been looking at that. The hours of desperation. And I'm looking at the New York Post right now with some of these new developments. Again, this is coming from the New York Post. Savannah Guthrie posts new video begging public for help in finding missing mom as the ransom deadline nears. Coming from the New York Post right now. On Monday, looks like Savannah Guthrie issued a heartbreaking new plea for help as the supposed deadline to fork over $6 million for her mother's safe return loomed, with her admitting, "We are at an hour of desperation." Says, "We believe our mom is still out there," the Today Show star said in a video. This is actually posted on Instagram Monday afternoon. Again, says, "She was taken and we don't know where." Goes on to say, Savannah begged anyone across the country, not just in her mother's, Nancy's, home state of Arizona, to report anything suspicious that they think might have to do with the 84-year-old's grandmother's disappearance. Goes on to say, "I'm coming on just to not ask you just for prayers, but no matter what, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report it to law enforcement," she said. Going further in the New York Post, it says, "We need your help." Of course, the desperate plea came fewer than 3 hours before the supposed kidnapper's final 7 p.m. Eastern deadline to fork over millions of dollars in return for Nancy's safe return, demands Savannah and her siblings said Saturday they were ready to pay. Again, the ransom note senders still haven't provided proof that they have Nancy and that she's alive, and law enforcement also have been unable to verify as well. This basically, they're saying that the supposed kidnapper's final deadline is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time to fork over millions of dollars in return for Nancy's safe return. Again, demands Savannah and her siblings said Saturday that they're ready to pay. So I'm going through some of the other news regarding this information today here. Looking over at Mario Knopfel, Savannah Guthrie, "We are an hour of desperation as the $6 million ransom deadline hits." Goes on to say, "The clock is ticking on a brutal ultimatum as the search for Nancy's Guthrie's enters its 9th day." Says a ransom note reportedly sent to local media has threatened Savannah's mother's life if $6 million in Bitcoin is not paid by 5 p.m. today. As of this afternoon, the balance in the publicly viewable account still stands at $0. That was reported a few minutes ago here. Let me see what else we got. Let's look over here a little bit further. New video from Savannah Guthrie alone after leaving her sister's Annie's home. Earlier, Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law's home was sealed off as the police conducted a forensics investigation. Appears to be the focus of a fast-developing investigation. Let me come in here real quick. Let's see everybody in here. While I'm with, hopefully you can hear us today. I can see Ripid in here. Rhino is in here. Good to see everybody over on Twitch as well. So I'm doing our video updates like we used to do. It's been a while. Hey, good to see you, Retro, as well. We did these a while back. I'm going to go over real quickly. There's been a lot going on in my life. You all knew that I moved a while back. Then I got married last Thursday. So a lot of changes going on in my life. It's been a roller coaster, to say the least. But again, I wanted to get back with you. I know it's been a super long time since you've seen me on camera. Probably wonder whatever happened to them, because we just see the music and the news scrolling and all that. But that's kind of what's been going on. Good to see everybody again over on Twitch and over on Rumble as well. It's Monday. Sometimes Mondays can be a little slow. So we're going to have this type of format. As you've noticed, I've been working on the graphics layout of the channel, so it's a little bit different look. We got a little bit Canva, and so I got the ticker, especially in the middle part, in that big yellow area, so you can kind of see the headlines a little bit easier. But the format is going to be, when I do the news from now on, it's just going to be like this, looking at the camera and going over whatever information we're going to be talking about on the day. That could be the news, it could be the weather, that type of thing. So that's kind of the new format that I'll be doing. And I hope to grow this over time. So again, right now, we're going to roughly do this at about 5 to 6 p.m. And we'll cover some of today's top news, plus the weather, the earthquakes, the whole 9 yards. But I just want to give you kind of the layout of the land. Hey, shout out to YouTube, LizzieBerry3. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for watching today. Glad you're with us here at TNS. So we're going to take it a little bit one step at a time with some of these news articles. We're going to go over Sophie. There's going to be some pauses here and there as I go throughout some of the information of the day, and also other breaking news that's going on, plus the weather, plus earthquakes, plus a little bit of everything here, so I can quickly show you what's going on. Let me get a couple things set up real quick. Let's see here. All right. So let me show you a couple of other developments going on. First, we got the news, but I want to show you the weather. Here we go. Again, as you can still see across a good portion of the southern half of the United States right now, it's been usually warm, with temperatures generally in the 70s and 80s right now. So we got 82 degrees where I'm at in Dallas, and temperatures are already up into the 70s, up into Nebraska today. Now, north of the cold front, it does cool back down into the 30s and 40s, but this is not nearly as cold as it's been, as we saw back in January. The colder air is across from portions of Illinois and all the way to the East Coast, across New York, Pennsylvania, and all the way up into Maine, Boston, that area. And pretty chilly across the Mid-Atlantic as well. Virginia's generally 32 over at Virginia Beach, Norfolk right now. And even pretty chilly down in Charleston at 48. And Florida's a little bit on the cool side. But again, the warmth is across the southern half of the United States, from Texas all the way up to Nebraska, and all the way out to at least out toward Palm Springs. So pretty warm. There's an upper level system that's going to be moving in. Could have a few rain showers overnight into tomorrow morning here in the metro in Dallas, but not that much yet. There may be a more stronger system that'll be coming in this weekend that we'll keep an eye on. But again, that's a little ways out. We'll see. Let me see if I got my earthquake tracker up. I haven't done this in a while. I don't know if I have it on here or not. Thought I had it up the other day. Here we go. Here's our earthquake tracker. This is all live from Global Quake. And again, nothing significant that I'm aware of so far going on. There's a 2.1 up in Columbia, Canada, and that's about it at the moment. But there's always earthquakes, and you never know what's going to pop off. So let's go back to some of the news items again. Again, shout outs to everybody that are with us today. Here's something I'm going to read off everybody in the chat as well. We saw this earlier today. I saw this on the news. Breaking moment. Of course, Maxwell pleads the fifth during her deposition. Also today, this interesting development. A Russian jet landed and took off from Bushehr, southern Iran, likely to evacuate Russian scientists from the Bushehr nuclear power plant. And tying in with all these other stories, and this was reported actually yesterday that we had up, at least 112 USAF C-17 aircraft headed to Middle East Desert Storm levels. I'm looking at this report here from Zero Hedge. It says an eye-opening and massive number of C-17 Global Master military transport and cargo planes have been observed heading to Europe and the Middle East in what some monitors have forewarned look like the buildup to a major war in Iran. It says one regional watcher and pundit commented in response, 112 C-17s are in or on their way to the Middle East. It says, guys, that's a lot like Desert Storm was. Stay tuned. Article goes on to say a prominent open source account called Armchair Admiral and others use public flight tracking data to tally the huge armada of U.S. Air Force C-17s and counting are around a trend since mid-January. Again, a total of 112 USA Air Force C-17s have now either arrived or en route to the Middle East with further 17 to 18 progress flights. Also a number of Royal Air Force logistic flights from RAF Marham to RAF in Cyprus, a movement on U.S. Air Force Cornets, the source said. So we know C-17s are massive. They can deliver huge amounts of equipment or large numbers of troops in a single go. The article goes on to say payload capacities of 170,000 pounds have the ability to operate on short, austere runways as small as just 3,500 feet. They have an intercontinental range with in-flight refueling, extending reach even further, and they have rapid load-unload design to keep missions moving under pressure. Says Iran and U.S. just concluded an initial round of indirect talks mediated by Oman, but despite some hopeful statements issued by either side, it's very clear Iran is not willing to negotiate its ballistic missile program, sticking point being demanded by Washington. Says a second round is expected in the coming days unless military action ensues first. Yeah, boatload of them here, guys. Here's somebody here. I'm looking about the situation. Nancy Guthrie right now says, so far, no word back from Nancy Guthrie's church pastor. Let me see what else we got in here. Hang on. Looking at some other, talking about the whole Iran situation. It says a wallet just placed a 100,000 bet on the U.S. strike in Iran by end of date today at 2% odds. Again, if it hits, the payout is $4 million. It says the wallet was inactive for 460 days and has only participated in one other market ever. It says very unusual behavior, definitely a wallet to watch and see how this plays out. All right, let's look into here. Here's somebody here goes on to say the latest video from Savannah Guthrie. This is coming from Steve Fisher, SF Investigates. Makes me think she no longer believes the ransom is legit. Says there's no reference to the ransom or the deadline that's just 90 minutes away. Instead, she asked for the public help searching for Nancy. Says she's also alone in the video. Looking at some of the other articles I'm looking at right now. Savannah Guthrie admits family an hour of desperation, begs for help before the second ransom deadline. Again, this is where she's in just a video by herself. Again, the 84-year-old mom, Nancy, has been missing since February the 1st. Says the ransom note indicated that Nancy could be harmed if the demand of a payment of $6 million in Bitcoin is not met by Monday at 5 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central and 7 p.m. Eastern. Says hours before the deadline came to pass, Savannah returned to social media to inform the public they couldn't continue this search alone. Goes on to say, I wanted to come on and share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare, she said in the video. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her mom, trying to find her. Now again, what we know so far about the disappearance. Again, her mother has been missing for a week after being abducted from her home in Tucson. Blood drops were seen on the home's front steps. Says Nancy's son-in-law was the last person to see her. Local and federal authorities have no suspects and no leads. Multiple news outlets have sent ransom letters that contain specific details about Nancy's home and clothing. It says multiple news outlets have been sent ransom letters. The first ransom deadline passed 5 days after the abduction, and a second deadline on said to contain much more serious conditions. 911 reports were made of a suspected trespasser lurking in a neighbor's yard weeks before the abduction. And again, cops seized a car from Nancy's home and removed a roof camera. Says she was taken, we don't know where, and we need your help, she said. Savannah thanked the public for their prayers, which she previously said were what her family needed the most, but made it clear they could need witnesses to find Nancy. Goes on to believe, we believe our mom is still out there. And again, investigators believe that the 84-year-old grandmother was abducted from her home in Tucson, Arizona in the early morning hours of February the 1st. Of course, the deadline comes after Savannah and her siblings sent a cryptic message to their mother's believed kidnappers promising to pay the ransom. Remember that? It says, "We received your message and we understand," Savannah said in a video posted to Instagram on Saturday. It says, "We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us and we will pay." Hey, everybody coming in tonight. Hey, good to see Mr. Sloth, Mark Sam. Good to see everybody again. Glad to be with y'all. It's been a long time. Hey, there's old school. Hey, glad to be back. Yeah, it's been a long time, guys. So we just had that again on Thursday. And I'm 60 years old, so I've never been married. You can imagine that it's a little different when you're older. And so we're a little different stage in life in terms of our age, but that's what happened. It happened at Thursday. Had a nice ceremony, and life's a little bit different, especially when you've been like me and been a bachelor all these years. So that's what's going on, and so that's the reason I've been off camera. I had a massive move that you all knew a while back, that I was moving to another location here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm over in the Addison area, so that took a long time to get done. Moving out of my childhood home of 56 years. So that took a lot of time, downsizing, getting rid of things. You don't need that type of stuff. My ultimate plan, though, our ultimate plan is to be moving down to the Texas Hill Country, a place called Horseshoe Bay, in about a year or so from now. That's the plan, and so we'll see. So my plan going forward is to do these news segments with you like I used to do from 5 to 6 p.m. or somewhere in that time frame, Central Time, every day, or Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, but have a little bit more polished look with just a more of a simplified graphics and not everything scattered around everywhere like I used to. We will, but again, most of you know that when I'm not on camera, we run a news aggregator channel, which means that I sort the news. Some of it's automated. Some of it is when I'm sorting out the news, that thing. We put the music on, and then we run it all the different platforms. So I run it over on Rumble. I run it on YouTube. And I run it on Twitch, and we even have variations of Twitch as well, depending on what type of content that I want to be running. So Rumble, as we know, is the more conservative, a little bit more, we'll just say content that you're not going to be able to put up as easily over on Twitch or YouTube. So there's a little different, slightly different layout over on Rumble. But for Twitch and YouTube, I make it a little bit more focused on general news items, some military alerts, and the weather and the earthquake tracker. And that's kind of what I do. But when we do these live in-person broadcasts, I'm just going to come and simultaneously stream to everybody all at the same time. So that's kind of the plan going forward. So we do a reset about 5 o'clock every day from now on. That's my plan to do it going forward. All right. Good to see Snappy in here today. It seems a little quiet today, too. I've noticed that a lot of our platform is a little bit on the slower side. I'm going to take my time, guys, so there may be some pauses here and there with the news, especially with breaking news, that type of thing. I'm looking at Guthrie right now. Here's something here. All right. Hang on one second. And I'm going to be going back and forth between what's going on with Nancy Guthrie and the situation in Iran as well. Pardon me, guys. It says someone is aggressively buying a huge position. This is another one. We've mentioned a $100,000 one. Now there's a $56,000 one so far on a U.S. strike on Iran by day's end. I don't know if that's today or just coming up. Says he deposited $500,000 during the 2024 election, lost $75,000 betting against Trump, and then went silent. But $425,000 went untouched for over a year. Today, he suddenly wakes up to bet on a U.S. strike in Iran happening before the day's end. Before the day's end. Interesting. So seeing some of that going on. Can hear the earthquake tracker going off. Hang on, let's see if we got anything here. Had a 4.6 earthquake detected. That's in the Caucasus region of Russia. So that's what I'm hearing right now. Hang on one second. A lot of dinging going on. Other news going on through today. There's footage showing Maxwell pleading the fifth in deposition. Epstein Associates refuses House oversight questions invoking the Fifth Amendment. Lawyer says she'll speak fully and honestly if Trump grants clemency first. Taking a look down at the AP, pretty much what we reporting. Savannah Guthrie makes new video plea as missing mother's ransom deadline nears. This was updated at 4:35 p.m. Central. Says Savannah Guthrie's family is at an hour of desperation in the search for her missing mother. The Today Show host said in a video released Monday. Let me take that earthquake tracker off. That's annoying. Hang on one second, guys. Okay. Again, Savannah Guthrie didn't mention the deadline in the video, saying her family in Arizona continues to believe their 84-year-old mother is out there and hearing everyone's prayers. Of course, the search has been riveted across the country, from President Trump all the way to online sleuths, flooded social media with tips, theories, and rumors. Again, as we've been saying, the FBI is now asking for the public's help on digital billboards up in several major cities in Texas, California, Arizona, and New Mexico. Again, the FBI has offered a $50,000 reward for information. AP is reporting what we were talking about. Again, multiple news outlets received alleged ransom letters during the past week. At least one letter made monetary demands and set deadlines for receiving the money. It says the first deadline passed last Thursday, but a second one was set for Monday evening. It says law enforcement officials declined to affirm that the letters were credible, but said all tips were being investigated seriously. Again, authorities say they have growing concerns about Nancy Guthrie's health because she needs daily medication. It says she has a pacemaker and has dealt with high blood pressure and heart issues, according to Sheriff Dispatcher audio on Broadcastify.com. Again, authorities, which we've been saying, believe Nancy Guthrie was taken against her will from her home just outside of Tucson. She was last seen there on January the 31st. Reported missing the next day after not attending church services. DNA test showed blood on Guthrie's front porch was a match to her. Also, investigators on Saturday were inside daughter Annie Guthrie's home about 4 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. And then on Sunday, an investigator was seen using a pole to search an underground tank behind Nancy Guthrie's home. All right, let's see here. This is an interesting, disturbing fact. It says the Pima County Medical Examiner, this is out there in Arizona, says has recorded over 4,000 cases of human remains found in the desert in their county since the year 2000. That's 4,000 people they found dead. It's a lot. It says it's very easy to hide a body in the Pima County, Arizona desert. Law enforcement has a very difficult job. All right. Says there's a small but growing collection of mementos and good wishes at the foot of Nancy Guthrie's driveway. Says Savannah Guthrie is, again we talked about, is pleading for help from the public more than a week after her mom was taken from her home in Tucson. Again, anyone with information should call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Nancy Guthrie's alleged abductors are demanding a reported $6 million in Bitcoin as a ransom. That payment, experts say, could be completed in minutes as a critical Monday 5 p.m. deadline approaches. The family has received no proof of life despite repeated public pleas. All right. Reuters, with their last update about 10 minutes ago, nothing new to report. Says other than what we've been reporting. Savannah Guthrie says, we believe our mom is still out there. Okay. Looking at Iran right now, some from OSINT Europe, as we go back and forth between Iran and Guthrie. Looking, it says Iran appears to anticipate an impending military strike and has concluded that no diplomatic agreement is forthcoming. Hang on 1 second. I'm going to update our title in here too. There we go. Going back to that, their assessment on Iran, supported by recently obtained high-resolution satellite imagery, which shows tunnel entrances at the underground nuclear facility with the Isfahan nuclear complex being sealed or covered with bentonite clay. Interesting. Going back to Guthrie again, also someone that says there's been at least 2 searches involving canines at Nancy's home. Searches early on by Pima County and then after the FBI became involved. Says, where are Savannah, Cameron, Annie, and Tomoso? Said they were staying at Annie's house. They vacated before the extensive evidence search there Saturday night. I'm going back and forth between the Guthrie case and Iran as we get this information. Poly Market History says U.S. strikes on Iran today. Pizza index spikes 455%. Hormuz shipping warning. Again, someone just put a bet of $100,000 on it happening today. Potential upside of $5 million payout. That's a poly market there. Here's something here. I'm looking at some new reporting right now from KOLD News in Arizona. It says, we received the following message from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. It says, good afternoon, media partners. Today we do not have any additional information to release publicly this afternoon. It says the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance remains active and ongoing. Says we understand the significant public interest in this case. Says, however, investigators need time and space to do their work. If and when relevant information becomes available, it will be shared. Says, going on with briefings, interviews, there are no press briefings scheduled at this time. The sheriff is not conducting one-on-one interviews and remains the sole department spokesperson. Said, should a significant development occur, a press conference will be called and you'll be notified via email and our Pima Sheriff X account. Going on, says investigation. Many of you observed an active law enforcement presence at the Guthrie's residence over the weekend. That activity will continue tonight and into tomorrow as part of the ongoing investigative process, including the expansion of the search and follow-up on new leads. Says this is all part of the investigative process as the search for Nancy's expands and new leads come in. Says to preserve the integrity of this criminal investigation, details of that process are not being released at this time. So going on with the ransom, says the FBI is handling all aspects related to any ransom notes or communication involving the Guthrie family. It says any inquiries regarding this matter should be directed to the FBI Public Affairs Office. Goes on to say, tips, we appreciate the media's assistance in helping get information to the public. Thousands of calls have been received across multiple tip lines and investigators continue to review them. It says anyone who believes they have information that may assist investigators is asked to contact 1-800-CALL-FBI, the PCSD non-emergency line at 520-351-4900 or 88-CRIME. That just came off just a few moments ago. What else we got in here? So I'm working back and forth between the Guthrie story and insiders thinking there's going to be a strike on Iran today, a U.S. strike on Iran. So that's the Pima County Sheriff again, guys, that we just told you about just a few moments ago. Not looking to have any press briefings at this time, they're saying. What else we got here? So I'm not seeing just a whole lot of new news about this. All right, hang on one second. The New York Post doesn't really have anything new to report either. So looking at other feeds in here, looking for Fox News, not really anything different as well in terms of any new information that I'm seeing, other than that press release from the sheriff saying there would be no new media updates. Here's something from ABC News here. But again, just recapping, it says the Pima County Sheriff's Department has announced unless there is a major breakthrough, there will be no further updates on the Nancy Guthrie disappearance case for the remainder of today. And then looking at ABC News in here, this is from ABC News itself. As Nancy Guthrie's ransom deadline nears, investigators appear uncertain if it's real. Says experts say law enforcement appear to be trying to determine if the real kidnappers are behind the demands. Says in two unverified notes sent to media outlets, the person who claims to have kidnapped the 84-year-old Guthrie, of course, that was for the 5 p.m. deadline. Says law enforcement officials have taken them seriously, but have not confirmed their authenticity. Goes on to say in the article, there's not just a whole lot of evidence. He says you may have an abductor communicating, but we're not even sure of that yet because we have no proof of life in either emails or text, whatever they got. Again, Monday's Guthrie made a direct appeal to the public assistance in solving the case. This was saying in an Instagram post. It says, we are at an hour of desperation. We need your help. Again, more questions than answers. Investigators were seen back at Nancy Guthrie's home over the weekend, apparently checking a rooftop camera and a septic tank on the property. Goes on to say, it looks like she was taken from that house against her will in the middle of the night. Said her Apple Watch, which disconnected from her pacemaker, was left behind at the home along with heart medication. Goes on to say, hostage negotiators are likely advising the Guthries not to pay ransom without proof that Nancy Guthrie is still alive. Coming up on that deadline now. Again, latest notes from Sheriff. We do not have any additional information to release publicly this afternoon. about all the information I have at the moment, other than that demand timeline. Timeline is coming up pretty soon. TMZ is reporting there's a reason to believe Nancy Guthrie may still be alive, and the deadline is today at 5 p.m. That's Tucson time, but the Bitcoin account remains empty. And that was about an hour ago on that report. All right. Well, we're waiting for a little bit longer here. Just some shout outs again, everybody, while I'm looking into our streams. Again, good to see Rip It in here, moderating, Retro's in here, and many others of you over on Twitch. And again, over on Rumble as well. I see a few folks over here. Mondays are typically a little bit quieter, let's put it that way. 10 of you over on YouTube as well. Liz Berry is in here. I can even see Nightbot and Botrix is in here. Tina Johnston was up here earlier as well. Mark Davis is reporting, new video earlier, of course. No family members alongside this time. Something has changed here. Prays toward a positive outcome. Looking at the New York Post, it says veteran homicide investigator Paul Cilenio, who's worked with 48 Hours and CBS News as an on-air expert, says key elements of a true kidnapping aren't present in the Nancy Guthrie case. All right. Megyn Kelly says there was no demand for payment in the second note. It was just a message to the family. Here's something new. What do we got here? New statement from Pima Sheriff says they're following up on new leads, and we can expect to see an active law enforcement presence at Guthrie's residences. So far, not noticed anything at Annie's house today. Keep an eye on that. That's all I'm seeing at the moment, guys. Hey, good to see you in here. Hot Wheels in here. How are you doing? Doing well. Good to see you over on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We got some people coming in right now. Just a real quick recap. Most of you know that I've been a bit of a change in my life. So I've been in a move for a while, and then I got married recently. So that's kind of what happened. If you wonder where I've been for like the last 6 months to a year, I've been a little different now, little different life, but a happy life. Okay, so we got the new format up here. This is what I'm going to be doing at 5 to 6 p.m. I hope going forward, Monday through Friday or something like that, or whenever breaking news is. So that's what we got. This is kind of the new layout. But if you notice some changes when the graphical layout of our channel. So not a real surprise, but if you're familiar with that, some of the bigger things is we got the earthquake tracker and weather tracker up. That's probably up on Twitch and YouTube. You do not see it over on Rumble, except for the weather part at least. But I do have it up again for the Twitch and YouTube audience. And so that format is more laid out toward a combination of weather, earthquakes, and news, whereas the Rumble is more geared probably primarily toward news and more controversial topics as well. This is what it looks like though over on, if you were over on YouTube, over on YouTube and Twitch. But if you're over on Rumble, then you're going to just see this. And then when I come in live for everybody, you're going to just see this, okay? While we're waiting on some more news, I'm going to go back to the weather group real quick. I just want to let you know that it's been really warm here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area region and across the Southern Plains. Again, it's 82 degrees, and where I'm at in my office here in Addison, I can certainly feel it. Now, the dew point's pretty low, still at 39, so it's not unbearable. The moisture, though, is not high enough yet to be a problem, but that will change. We could look at a few showers overnight, but nothing substantial. And again, across the country for the whole, you can get 70s right now all the way up into Nebraska today. So just incredible warmth all the way from Kearns and all the way down toward Amarillo at 75 and 82 at DFW and already pushing 90 down toward Laredo. So very warm. Across the southeastern United States, not too bad, generally in the 60s and 70s. A little cooler, though, across Florida, as it's been lately, generally in the 60s and 70s. But the cool air and the colder air crosses from the mid-Atlantic into the northeast and Midwest areas. So again, this is really chilly and cold air from Maine all the way through New York and then down toward Pennsylvania and across Ohio and Indiana. It's slowly beginning to moderate a little bit across Illinois, but it's still pretty cool, chilly. And again, even across the western United States, it's warm in Phoenix, which is not a surprise. And across the western United States and northwest, it's cooler. There's cooler air. Also, more developments for finally some much needed rainfall and snow coming up, I believe, as a bit of a pattern changes starts to emerge. So again, it's pretty warm here in Dallas today. Let me go back to the news here. So let me take the weather back off. Let's put the news back on. Same thing, Steve Lugner's reporting earlier. No press briefing scheduled at this time regarding the Nancy Guthrie. Should a significant development occur, press conference will be called and media will be notified via email at the Pima Sheriff X account as well. Watching Iran again, I'm looking at Retro's message in here over in Twitch, moderator here. Yeah, guys, thanks so much for staying with me all this time over the last 6 months to a year with my move and the wedding and everything else, because I know you hadn't seen me on camera in quite some time. But Retro's reporting a direct message from Washington. White House has warned the regime that U.S. military action is coming if the regime refuses President Trump's demands. Rippett's reporting Mexican cartel authorizes attacks on Border Patrol agents. Hey, there's Deep South in here. Good to see you today. Thanks, Deep South. Yep, I'm alive and married as well. Thank you. Labor Department orders lawyers cut ties with radical ABA activist group. That's coming from the Gateway Pundit. Remember, guys, go in and check our chat out as well. Our moderators post great news articles. Some of those articles might be up on the screen. Sometimes I don't get to them. So check it out in the chat as well. Norway charges ex-ambassador and her husband with corruption one day after she resigned in disgrace over being implicated in Epstein files. All right, here. I'm looking at any other news here. Hang on one second. They're reporting the same information that we talked about a while back. Again, no scheduled press briefings. This is coming from live now on Fox. And of course, earlier, Savannah Guthrie, the host of NBC's Today Show, released a fourth video pleading for the return of her missing mother, Nancy Guthrie. Says, we are at an hour of desperation and we need your help. All right. Here's some new information here, or, well, semi-new. Pima County Sheriff here. Investigators have not identified any suspects, persons of interest, or vehicles connected to Nancy Guthrie. Anyone who believes they have information that may assist investigators is asked to contact 1-800-CALL-FBI or the PCSD non-emergency line at 520-351-4900 or 88-CRIME. All right. So I'm looking right now at the Pima County Sheriff. This is pretty much it. Let me put this up on screen real quick, guys. Okay. Nope. Second. Here we go. Again, you can see Pima County Sheriff's investigators have not identified any suspects, persons of interest, or vehicles connected to Nancy Guthrie. That's about 8 minutes ago. Again, no press briefings today. So, nothing to report, nothing further to report at the moment. All right, guys. Looking at the New York Post, see if they got anything new. We're actually out past the deadline now. Guthrie's final ransom deadline passes as stricken daughter Savannah notes hour of desperation. See if there's anything new on that. This is updated 7 p.m. time. Says the doomsday 7 p.m. Eastern time deadline for Nancy Guthrie's family to cough up 6 million villains who claimed to be holding her came and went Monday as TV star Savannah issued a desperate new plea for help. Again, the deadline passed with no sign of the ransom being paid or proof the ailing grandmother was still alive, leaving her fate in question. Again, the Bitcoin account given by kidnappers showed zero balance and zero transactions. The supposed kidnappers had claimed Nancy would be in danger if they didn't get paid by the deadline. FBI and Pima County Sheriff Department still haven't verified whether the ransom note is authentic or the work of scammers. But with no other known leads to go on, Guthrie's family and cops have been have had to treat it as the real deal. However, some former FBI agents have increasingly expressed skepticism about the authenticity of the ransom demand, which referenced Nancy's Apple Watch and a floodlight at her home. Goes on to say, I'm very skeptical of this, the former FBI director Chris Swecker told Fox News the big weekend on Sunday. So goes on to say, he added, if this was a kidnapping, it would be a very simple matter to authenticate and provide proof of life. All right. Looking back over on Rumble real quick with some of our news coming out from Deep South. GOP lawmakers call on FCC to take action after Bad Bunny's shocking and vulgar halftime lyrics are translated to English. It's over the Gateway Pundit. Now, next report here, Congressman Thomas Massie, what we're after is the men who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked women to. We want those names published. Here's another one from CNN. Pardon me. It says ex-FBI agent tells CNN he's not convinced Nancy Guthrie's disappearance was a pardon me, I'm losing it. Cough. Was a traditional kidnapping. All right. Again, the 7 p.m. Eastern Time deadline for Nancy Guthrie's family to pay the $6 million ransom has passed. Again, the Bitcoin wallet provided by the alleged kidnapper still shows zero balance. Okay. Hey, JC2K, good to see you over on YouTube. I'm glad you're with us today. All right, guys, I'm really glad that I could be with you today. Again, just to recap, I've been in the process of a move for a long time. Then I got married last Thursday, so everything has been kind of a whirlwind in terms of my life, and that's why I've not been on camera for a long time. But I'm planning to be on a camera as much as possible. There will be a couple days this week where I still have to do some paperwork with my marriage, filing, that type of thing, that I probably will be away from camera, or might be in the afternoon. I'm not sure, but we'll see. But largely, I'm going to start being back with y'all going forward, okay? We'll have this news format. We're going to simultaneously go on live around 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening, or whenever breaking news is. It'll be this format. And then after that, we're going to go back to the news aggregator format that I have. And that's what we do. All right. Hey, good. I'm glad. JC2K, glad you can hear us. I'm looking at any new developments in here, guys, but I'm not seeing anything with the Guthrie case. And I'm not going to stay on this much longer because there's nothing else. Here's something. Well, there's one new report here. It says Mary Coleman at KOLD News in southern Arizona. Says, here's what we just received from the FBI. For more than a week, FBI agents, analysts, and professional staff have worked around the clock to reunite Nancy Guthrie with her family. Says the FBI is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person of interest in this case at this time. Says additional personnel from the FBI field offices across the nation continue to deploy to Tucson. We are currently operating a 24-hour command post that includes crisis management experts, analytic support, and investigative teams, but we still need the public's help. Says someone has that one piece of information that can help us bring Nancy home. Says we need that person to share what they know. Please call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Okay. All right. Fox News report in here. Same thing we've been reporting. Says the final deadline in the alleged ransom note related to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie has passed without any proof of life. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up our broadcast for now and go back to the news aggregator feed that I always have, that we have up for you here at Texas News Studio. I want to come on in, though, and give you a live update of some of the news that's been going on with Guthrie, and a little bit with Iran. Those are kind of the two interesting things that I'm monitoring as well. Plus, we're going to have the regular news broadcast, as in the news aggregator, coming up in just a moment. So again, good to see y'all. It's been a while since I've been on camera. I plan to be doing this more. And so just stay with TNS, guys. And see you at the next report, which would be hopefully tomorrow about the same time. Take care, everybody.